playing here for people. People teach people through these tools. And then you have these spaces, you have these places where people start to use Arduino and, for example, I've got some random places that I know about, where some are less random than others, like NYC Resistor, for example. It's a place in New York where people kind of got together and they teach each other how to use Arduino, for example. And actually they come up with projects, they build projects together. Or you have things like, the Main d'Oeuvre in Paris is more about like arts and how to do interactive art, and Kitchen Budapest is an experiment of like these people got money from the Hungarian Telecom to get young designers, artists, and young engineers in the same place, shake, and you get this strange cocktail of weird but also interesting projects coming out. But also places like NYC Resistor are like this. It's essentially a peer-to-peer learning. You come in, they. You spend some time there, they kind of look at you, they see if you're fit into the whole system, if you're like a nice person that kind of collaborates and helps and knows how to kind of interact with other people, and then you're in. And it's amazing how they create also, they spin off ideas and companies. Like for example, this one, it's a 3D printer that prints objects out of plastic. And it's basically, there's like a special version of Arduino on it. It's also open source. You can download the plans. You can buy a $750 kit. See one of these plastic things made out of ABS. But also there's a world of like new ways of making publications, for example. For us, it's very important, for example, the relationship that we have with Make magazine. When I was a kid, I looked at my father's electronics magazine. They were very nerdy, and Make magazine has this beautiful explanation, properly typeset. You can open it and it doesn't burn your eyes. It's beautiful to look at. But it contains also provocative statements like this. Looking at if you don't, in a way, if you can't look at the things that you have and you can't in a way understand them, you don't really own them. So these are some articles that appeared on the press about us. So this is the Arduino kind of official, let's say, products made in Italy. But then you have people in China, for example, that make their own derivatives. This is called the Seeduino. It's made by a company called Seed Studio. But also you have places like, for example, these are Arduino boards handmade in Chile by people that wanted to run a workshop, but didn't really, have the money to buy 20 of them from the US. So they just made them for the instructions. Here's a bunch of companies and institutions who use Arduino. So I saw this ad by Apple. They were looking for designers. They knew how to use Arduino. My heart stopped for a second. It's strange. It's interesting how they use open source technology to make closed source products. But that's a different story. Here are some quick projects that people make. These are like prototypes of lamps that we built with Arduino. It was a team of like a couple of designers, a couple of students, a couple of electronics engineers, all together, kind of, working together, making these lamps that react to touch, to squeezing, these are like other lighting-based installations that we built for a company called Arup in London. This is a museum in Milan for the Campari, for Campari, for drink, famous Italian drink. It's all made with Arduino. I'm going to show you quickly. This is it's an alarm clock that my students built. You flip it in different sides and it becomes a radio and alarm clock. And then when it starts to buzz, you can turn it off by using a remote control that's shaped like a teddy bear. So when you're in bed with your teddy bear, you hug it and you stop the alarm. This is a coffee machine that somebody built by basically taking apart an existing one, rebuilding the whole electronics with Arduino, and then he published all the software online. So this is an open source coffee machine that you can build if you want. The same person made this boat. The video has some problems, we skip it. This is an Arduino derivative made by a woman called Leah Bickley, who was researching wearable computing. So this is an Arduino that you sew into fabric. So here's some examples, jackets that indicate when you're turning with your bicycle, and then tops with like animations, bracelets. Then somebody made a DIY, so some of the videos don't work. Probably it's some codec problem. But anyway, some people who made a Segway that's open source. You go to these blog, and you can see it. Plants that send Twitter messages when they need water. Pregnant women who send Twitter messages when the baby is kicking. But then you have a community that learn how to reverse engineer the protocol that's inside every car, so that you can understand how exactly your car is running and how you can optimize that. And it's a bunch of people who just share this information online, airplanes, and technical instruments. This is a scientific instrument. So I'm basically done. But yeah, I wanted to say just a final word is, we have learned that essentially you need to teach people by making them play with the medium very quickly. So we make people blink an LED the first half an hour they are in a workshop. We teach workshops in the weirdest places, in the weirdest, storage rooms, I don't know, cellars, weird places in crazy countries. And we believe in this kind of, we have realized that people come to workshops actually not to learn from us about Arduino, but because they know they get into a room with like 10 or 20 like-minded people and they learn from each other. And that's something that was really interesting for me when I started doing a lot of Arduino workshops, how people wanted to kind of learn more from each other than from us. So thank you. That's